Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Things must change under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if Manchester United don't end up with a new manager. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer must win the Europa League to stay at Manchester United, because if we don't win the Europa League this season, there's a good chance he will be sacked. Now, we've not yet won a trophy under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, and he's been Manchester United manager over 2 years. We haven't won a trophy since 2017, so we don't win a trophy this season, that'll be 4 years without a trophy. I can assure Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't have a long-term future at Manchester United. He has already agreed to sign a new contract worth £9 million a year, so he's been given a pay rise. Sources at Old Trafford have already said that talks are set to begin any day on the new deal, because later on this month, Ole enters the final year of his 3-year contract. Does he deserve a new contract? In some aspects, yeah. In some aspects, no. Solskjaer has gained some managerial experience, reflecting how long he's been at the football club. Before he was with us, he was at Mulder. He won a few Norwegian titles at Mulder, but they're not a big club. And before he was at Mulder, he was at Cardiff, and he enjoyed a very short tenure at Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. He got Cardiff relegated. Don't forget, he managed the Man United reserve team for a couple of years, so he watched some of this team grow and develop. If we do eventually sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who is going to come in to replace him? Because as far as I'm aware at the moment, no one is available. There's a lot of Manchester United fans that are demanding Max Allegri in. I'd take Julian Nagelsmann at Manchester United. Don't forget Mauricio Pochettino at one point was the favourite to take over. But to be honest with you, if we do end up sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't think it will really solve a lot. Because when we are inconsistent, not all of the blame stems from Ole. He's obviously accountable for a few things, so I understand why a lot of Man United fans are on his back. Just think we've got to change some kind of structure. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Manchester United it was going to be a massive job, despite him knowing the club through thick and thin. And we probably did make a mistake by giving him the job. You know, we appointed Solskjaer in December 2018 to replace Mourinho. In his first 3 months, he was the interim manager. He won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. So, reflecting how well he did, the club decided to give him the job permanently 2 years ago. The main explanation why Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager is because he is a club legend. So I think that's what saved him. You know, disregarding being a club legend, I don't think he'd have been a Manchester United manager now. Don't forget, he did endure 11 years as a player. But we have got to credit him in quite a few aspects. You know, he has made some good signings since he became Manchester United manager. He's spent almost £300 million. And he's endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. I also like the way he has promoted the youth. You know, he's got rid of a lot of players since he got recommended in. You know, a few players left us in the January transfer window. We saw Jesse Lingard go out on loan to West Ham. We saw Tiden Mengi go out on loan. Facundo Palestri went out on loan. Odin Igalo said his farewells to the club. Marcus Rojo left the club and Timothy Fosu-Mensah left the club. In the other transfer window, Solskjaer's got rid of a lot of players. You know, we've seen Valencia leave, Young leave, Darmian leave, Smalling leave. Seen Fellaini leave, Herrera leave, Sanchez leave, Lukaku leave, Angel Gomez leave. You know, also loaned quite a few players out. Obviously loaned Diego Dalot out. Loaned Tahith Chon out. Loaned Dylan Levitt out. Loaned James Garner out. We loaned Dishon Bernard out as well. And I think we loaned Joe Pereira out again for another season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did well in his first full season at Manchester United. He got us to 3 semi-finals. He got us 3rd place finish, the second highest we've finished since Ferguson, and he got us qualification for the Champions League. And obviously this season, which is second full season, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final, lost 2-0 to Man City. Got us to the FA Cup quarter-final, got knocked out recently by Leicester 3-1. And he's got us to the Europa League quarter-final. And we are unbeaten in our last 22 Premier League away games. And we have enjoyed very good periods under Ole, where we've actually seen consistency, and in some of them good periods he's got the best out of the team and he's improved certain individual players. But we've also enjoyed very bad periods under him where you can turn around and say, yeah, he was lucky not to be sacked. But revert back to what I said, he deserves credit for them things. But I've told you my biggest concern about Solskjaer is his decision making, because in the vast majority of the games at Man United, he's been tactically naive, especially in a lot of the big games this season. But there's been some games where he's showed tactical flexibility, but he's got to show tactical flexibility persistently. And I just think Ole as a manager hasn't got that big club arrogance, and obviously hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. I think we've got to get a manager in who would suit the strappings of the club, a manager in who would bring the right players in, and a manager with a proven pedigree. You know, if we don't win the Europa League, it's not 100% guaranteed we'll sack Solskjaer. You know, there's just a good chance it will happen. You know, there's actually no talks of Solskjaer getting sacked yet. There was a lot of narratives coming out about Solskjaer getting sacked so earlier on this season. I can assure we will finish in the top 4 this season, with a good chance of finishing second. But I don't think finishing in the top 4 is enough. I think we need to get a trophy with that, because that would represent a good season. Then that'll give us something to build on going on into next season. But if Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager in the summer transfer window, I'm expecting him to get the backing he deserves, because he hasn't been backed enough so far as Manchester United manager. Obviously, we've got John Murtaugh as our director of football, and the club made the right decision by getting a director of football in, because I said it's one of the structural changes that we need at the club. And John Murtaugh knows the club well. He's been at Man United since 2014, so he's been with us now around 7 years. You know, Darren Fletcher is our technical director. Darren Fletcher knows the club through thick and thin. He enjoyed 2 decades as a player for Manchester United. And Woodward did a statement not so long ago, and he says the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. So in that aspect, Woodward is backing Ole. Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Solskjaer, and even enjoying them bad periods, he assured that Solskjaer's job was safe. But without doubt, the board has been one of the biggest issues at the club for a long time. You know, reflecting now poor the recruitment policy's been, we're overpaid for players. And in general, you know, the managers that we've had since Ferguson retired haven't got the players that they wanted to recommend in. But this summer transfer window is absolutely huge for Manchester United. I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings. I heard that our transfer budget is around £80 million. A lot of Man United fans are shocked in that aspect, because I know £80 million is not enough for the players that we need. This is why Solskjaer's planning to sell players, obviously to bolster our transfer budget. I heard that Solskjaer's hoping to raise as much as £60 million. The players I would love Manchester United to sign is Erling Haaland. I'd love us to sign him. Now, I'll give you the news on Erling Haaland on my recent video. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer keeps calling Erling Haaland to persuade him to join Manchester United. And there was narratives coming out earlier on today saying that we have the advantage in the Erling Haaland transfer chase. But it's now saying we're no longer in the transfer race for Haaland due to the financial reasons. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer worked with Erling Haaland when Haaland was at Molde. Solskjaer was the one that gave him his debut at just the age of 16. And earlier on this season, Ole was talking about him, you know, saying that he's following his progress and he's keeping in touch with him on a regular basis. Back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. I don't see us getting him because I think his move to Real Madrid is practically done, and it recently said that he favours a move to Real Madrid. There's been so many teams in for him. I think Dortmund are demanding in the excess of £100 million. He has a £70 million release clause, but that doesn't become active until next year. Since Haaland's arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. He's been at Dortmund over the year. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him, and he's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. But if he came to Man United, he'd exceed expectations, and he would assure us goals, so he'd give us that clinical edge. And plus, Haaland's young, he's still got a lot of development in him. So I'd love Solskjaer to reunite with the player. I think there's only around 5 or 6 clubs in England that can actually afford him. Now, I'd love Manchester United to sign Raphael Varane from Real Madrid. It looks very likely that Raphael Varane is going to be leaving Real Madrid because Mundo Deportivo have said that Raphael Varane's future is in doubt. And he's high on our transfer wish list. I think Raphael Varane is valued at £63 million. But Raphael Varane is a world-class centre-half. You know, he's highly experienced, he's 27 years of age, and he'd go very, very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. Woodward was prepared to sanction a £100 million move for him back in 2018. Varane is under contract at Real Madrid till 2022. He's been at Real Madrid for 10 years now, is it? He's made over 300 appearances and he's won 18 major honours. Real Madrid paid €10 million for him from Lens back in 2011. But if I don't see us getting Raphael Varane, maybe we could, but if we don't get Raphael Varane, I'd certainly take Jules Koundé from Sevilla. Jules Koundé is one of our top defensive transfer targets. Now, the last time I read up regarding Jules Koundé, it said that we'd been handed a boost in our bid to sign Koundé. Because it said Sevilla had reduced their asking price for Jules Koundé to £50 million. Originally, they wanted 70 million plus add-ons. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that we was unwilling to meet Jules Koundé's £68 million release clause, but he said we was prepared to pay around 61 million, and he said we was the favourites to sign him earlier on this season. But Jules Koundé's performances for Sevilla have been absolutely outstanding. He's been at Sevilla almost 2 years. Sevilla paid £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019. He's got a contract with Sevilla until 2024. I'd certainly take Declan Rice at Manchester United as well. But I can identify the weaknesses in the squad straight away. We're obviously going to sell players in the summer transfer window. Like I said, there's a good chance that we'll sell Juan Mata. Good chance we'll sell Martial, because there's a lot of Manchester United fans that are saying we need to sell Anthony Martial. Been out of form for the vast majority of this season, and he's just come back from injury. Cavani, I'd keep him for one more season, but there's a good chance he'll leave us in the summer transfer window. Matic, I think we should sell him in the summer transfer window. Should we sell Fred in the summer transfer window? Keep Paul Pogba, but could he still leave Man U in the summer transfer window? Phil Jones, I want him to leave. Romero, he'll go. Eric Bailly, do you think he could leave in the summer transfer window? Eric Bailly has apologised to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his Manchester United teammates for his disrespectful behaviour, because prior to that it said Bailly was furious with Solskjaer because he felt disrespected and not wanted by him. And Bailly said he believes we're only offering him a new contract to simply improve his asking price. Would you sell Bailly in the summer? I wouldn't sell Bailly in the summer because he's a good centre-half. He's just too injury prone, so that's my concern about Bailly. Good chance we'll sell David De Gea in the summer transfer window, so we can make Dean Henderson our first choice goalkeeper. I think De Gea's now had his years at Manchester United and it's time for him to move on. But there's a lot of players that will stay at Man United potentially past the summer. And there's a few players at Man United that have got long-term futures at the club. But in the last 8 years, nothing's changed at Manchester United. It's just been an ongoing cycle of inconsistency. We haven't been the same team since Ferguson retired. And a lot of United fans predicted it was all going to go wrong when Ferguson retired, which it obviously has done. Ferguson brought success to the club. He won 30-odd trophies, including 13 Premier Leagues. Ferguson enjoyed a 27-year tenure at the club. But he didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United. Good job we didn't sack Ferguson any time in that 4-year period, because we wouldn't have hardly had any success now. The only mistake Ferguson ever made was recommending Moyes in at that time. But the main explanation he recommended him in is because, he had a lot of time for Moyes, and obviously they're both Scottish. But 3 managers have been sacked since Ferguson. Moyes was sacked after 10 months. He enjoyed the shortest tenure ever at Man United. We finished 7th under the David Moyes era. Lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. Did enjoy one good season though, Mourinho, because he won the Europa League, the League Cup and the Community Shield, and he also got us a 2nd place finish, which I think was in his first season. But mistakes have been made since Ferguson retired, and that's one of the main explanations why we haven't been as consistent as we'd like to have been. We must have brought a good 37 players in since Ferguson retired. and we spent over £1 billion. I don't know when Man United next going to win the Premier League. I don't see us winning it for a long time. You know, we haven't won it since 2013, so we haven't won it now for like 8 years. But I've got to say, there is good players at Manchester United. You know, there's players that have improved as well. Our two best players by far this season has been Luke Shaw and Bruno Fernandes. You know, I've been impressed with some of the games Eric Bay's been involved in, but you can say he's lost his place in the team now because Bay hasn't played for a while. Harry Maguire, you know, I've been impressed with him in some games this season. But he certainly wasn't worth the £80 million that we got him for, let's put it that way. You know, he's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment and the second most expensive sign at the club. Dean Henderson, I've been impressed with him in the games he's played in this season. Dean Henderson has started 6 games in a row for Man United, but he's made good saves, he's made some good aerial claims and his distribution's been good. And Dean Henderson's young and he's still got a lot of development in him. And Wan-Bissaka, you know, he's done well in some games this season where he's actually showed some good attacking intent. He's got into good positions and he's even put good crosses into the box. And defensively been good, but there's been some games where he's looked off the pace. He's been caught out far too many times and he's lacked that attacking intent. We got Wan-Bissaka in a deal worth £50 million from Palace in the summer of 2019. You know, you got Lindelof that can even do well, and he's done well recently, to be fair. In some games, he looks good alongside Maguire in our back line. You know, they complement each other, but I seldom say that because it doesn't happen a lot, does it? I think a few United fans have said we need to sell it to Lindelof in the summer. You know, Paul Pogba, you know, we've been getting the best out of him in recent months. Obviously delivered the goods in Italy against Milan. You know, Paul Pogba just come back from a thigh injury. But we need to keep Paul Pogba potentially past the summer because he brings creativity to the team, if you've noticed. You know, disregarding Pogba, there's no creativity and we are far too defensive. Really are. And we need to keep Paul Pogba on that left wing because that in more of an advanced role because that's where he's more effective. You know, Fred, he can do well in some games for Man United, but he endured a very bad game against Leicester. Probably his worst game in a Manchester United shirt. Gave the ball away countless times. And he was accountable for Leicester's first goal. Fred wasn't worth the £52 million that we got him for. He's not at that level yet. McTominay, he's a decent player and he's enjoyed good games this season. Give McTominay time, you know, he's still young, he's got a lot of development in him. Donny van de Beek, you know, good when he plays, but he seldom plays, Donny van de Beek. You know, he's played nowhere near as much as I expected. Most of Donny van de Beek's appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. You know, Mark Hughes has recently come out and given his verdict on it, and he says Van der Beek looks lost and he's edging closer to a Man United exit. He did start against Leicester, but Van der Beek's just come back from injury. Now, apparently, Van der Beek feels loved at Man United despite his lack of game time, but prior to that, he said that Van der Beek's threatened to quit the club after 1 season. This is due to his lack of game time, and he wanted to hold showdown talks with Ed Woodward over his future. But ESPN said back in January that we rejected several loan offers for Van der Beek because we was reluctant to let him go. But earlier on this season, Solskjaer admitted he was unhappy because of his lack of game time, but he promised him more game time at Man United. You know, we got him in a deal worth £40 million, paid £35 million up front, and there was £5 million in add-ons. You You know, Van der Beek's got a contract with the club till 2025. And he's versatile because he can play in 3 different roles. You know, Bruno Fernandes, he's been exceptional. Mason Greenwood, I've been very, very impressed with him since he broke into our first team squad. He's got a long-term future at Man United. You know, Marcus Rashford, you know, I like him a lot. Becoming a bit injury prone now, you know, out of injury at the moment. Not so long ago, I had an ankle injury. And, you know, he was out with a back injury for a while last season. And Cavani's made an impact since he's come in. So, yeah, we've got some good players. And it is good enough to finish at least in the top 4. But it's certainly not good enough yet to win the Premier League. You know, there's a few players at Man United that don't get in the team. You know, Brandon Williams doesn't get in the team. He's our third choice left back now, technically, because Luke Shaw's our first choice left back and Tellez is our second choice left back. You know, Axel Tuanzebe, he doesn't get in our 11. Juan Mata, he doesn't get in our 11. Phil Jones, he doesn't get in our 11. Sergio Romero doesn't. So there is a few, isn't there, that don't get in our 11. So yeah. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.